There is talk in Washington about the Mueller report. We're not done talking about it. I know the Mueller report came out. He completely exonerated President Trump. But we still have people in Washington talking about the idea that President Trump should be impeached. Even one of the Democrat candidates for president, Elizabeth Warren, or otherwise known as Pocahontas from Massachusetts, after the Mueller report came out and made perfectly clear that Trump did not collude with the Russians tried to penetrate the Trump campaign and were rebuffed by the Trump people. You know, that's in the Mueller report. And yet she still wants to, she said, it's time for impeachment. She's actually calling for impeachment. Now, it's understandable a little bit from her because she's so low in the polls. She's got to do something to get a little bit of steam. She's got to do something to signal the radical leftists and the Democrat primary voting base that they want, that, you know, she's on their team. She's with the impeachment crowd. But I'm raising this today because the left has not dropped the impeachment argument. They haven't even dropped the idea that even though Mueller found there was no collusion, that somehow President Trump's efforts to push back against this hoax being perpetrated against him, somehow during the time he was pummeled with lies, by accusations by the mainstream media all over Washington, D.C., by the American left, by people in the FBI, Department of Justice, he's pummeled with false accusations, investigated for something when he had done nothing wrong, and he was actually getting mad about it. He was actually thinking of ways to point out that he was not happy. He was talking to his staff about saying, you know, this is crazy. None of this happened. Those things, the most logical actions of an innocent man, the most logical reactions of an innocent man, are now being propped up by the left as evidence of an attempt to obstruct justice. That is what the Senator Warren, candidate Warren, is talking about. Well, he talked a little bit about maybe he wouldn't, he didn't like very much being investigated. Folks, who would? You think about if you're investigated, you're accused of robbing a bank or some other thing you never did, and it's in the papers every day, all day. Everyone you've ever known since second grade is being put under oath and deposed and questioned, and you have the strong-arm tactics of the Mueller team, the perjury trap stuff going on. Yeah, you're going to get tired of it. But I'm telling you, it's one thing for Elizabeth Warren to do that. It is quite another for the allegedly Republican senator from the state of Utah. You know who I'm talking about, the former candidate for president who just simply could not keep his mouth shut. Mitt Romney weighed in the most disgusting, petulant, ignorant manner possible. I don't even want to play, and I was going to play I'm not even going to play his stupid clip. This is a guy who could not garner the votes to take out a socialist president in this country because he didn't have the courage to stand up for anything. He couldn't stand up against President Obama in his presidential run against him, but somehow he's finding himself manly enough to stand up against President Trump, never pointing out nothing in what Mitt Romney has been tweeting and blathering about. Has he pointed out how egregious the conduct of the American left was throughout this entire Mueller investigation? No words out of Mitt Romney's mouth like, it was pretty bad the FBI let Hillary use an unsecured server and risk national security secrets the entire time she was Secretary of State. Don't really think it was a great idea somehow that the DOJ was in the middle of exonerating her. In fact, kind of announced her exoneration before the FBI announced her exoneration, before the DOJ even got the news or got the case. The conduct of this investigation premised on the Russian dossier, which was just a campaign hit piece paid for by Hillary and the DNC, those dossiers used to get search warrants from the FISA court and the entire DOJ spying on the President Trump's campaign and then his presidency. That didn't seem to bother Mitt Romney. That was okay. But by golly, somebody in the Trump team was aware that the Russians might have wanted to talk to him, and they didn't run to the authorities and report it. Mitt Romney has no idea what time it is in America. He has no idea the depth and the importance of the scandal represented by this Russiagate, Dossier-gate, whatever you want to call it. He has no conception of how serious it is. The worst thing he can point to, the most egregious thing he can point to, was whether or not maybe someone in the Trump team should have maybe called someone to say, hey, the Russians are lurking on the edge, but we're not cooperating with them. Mitt Romney, heaven help us if he is considering another run for president. He has no clue what time it is in America.